Dillian the Body Snatcher right here. It's a champ. Big up to Sporting Icon. Subscribe. Otherwise, I might pay you guys a visit.
Okay, so Tyson Fury versus Dillian Whyte for the WBC and Ring Magazine Heavyweight World Championships. And of course, lineal, if anybody puts any stock into that one. Now, of course, that would be an all-British clash. Is it the biggest clash since Bruno versus Lennox Lewis? I would say yes. It certainly is. And for me, I think that Fury versus Dillian Whyte would probably pack out the Millennium Stadium in Cardiff, Wales, which is probably going to be the target anyway, because that time of the year, if they're looking at, say, February or March kind of time, then it's the only stadium around, due to the weather here in the UK, that has a roof on. So for me, I think that they could pack that out. Time will tell. Now, Dillian Whyte, he's confirmed that Tyson Fury is his next target, and he believes that will be his next fight. And going by the voicemail, or one of the voicemails that Dillian sent me, I kind of get the impression that WBC have already told Otto Wallin and Dimitri Salita to pretty much jog on. Okay, this was a voluntary defense. Injuries happen. We've seen the proof. It's real. Go do one. Okay, go do something else. So, as far as this fight is concerned, of course, already I'm seeing like a lot of people very, very hyped about the potential of Tyson Fury versus Dillian Whyte. A lot of people are hyped about the fact that Dillian is finally going to get his world title shot with the WBC. That's what he's been petitioning for the longest time, paying his sanction fees and what have you. And of course, it's a mega fight. Why would you not want to see it? Of course, it's a bigger fight here in the UK than it is anywhere else, for sure. But it is a mega fight. It really is. And I know some people, and it is a minority, okay? It's a minority of people who say that Tyson Fury, he should just go fight Alexander Usyk for undisputed. Forget about Dillian Whyte. Well, that ain't going to happen, okay? So you can say that as much as you possibly want. That ain't going to happen. Joshua ain't going to step aside, and Dillian Whyte ain't going to step aside. Simple as that. So either you get used to Tyson Fury versus Dillian Whyte, or you don't. And that's the truth of it. Now, some people say that Dillian Whyte, he's no good. It'd be easy work for Tyson Fury. Okay, cool. Well, let's see if you're right, shall we? Let's see if you're right. And those who say that, okay, so if Tyson Fury beats Dillian Whyte, should we not give Tyson Fury any credit for that win? Should we not? Shall we still say that Tyson Fury has only defeated Vladimir Klitschko and Deontay Wilder? They're the only two notable names. Is Dillian Whyte not a notable name? And again, if Tyson Fury struggles with Dillian Whyte, should we say, well, it looks like Tyson's on the slide then? If he struggles with Dillian Whyte, clearly he's on the slide, isn't he? So again, be careful with your words, okay? Now, for me, Dillian Whyte is a more serious threat to Tyson Fury. Of course, I'm talking stylistically, than Deontay Wilder was. Deontay Wilder, all he's got to do is stay out of the way of that right hand. And if that one-trick pony in Deontay Wilder can land that punch on Tyson Fury, what makes you think Dillian Whyte can't land punches on him? Dillian Whyte punches ridiculously hard. Dillian Whyte doesn't have just one hand. He has two that he uses. That left hook, the body shots, the uppercut, the straight right, the right hand over the top. He has a much more versatile arsenal than Deontay Wilder. Now, for those of you who say that Dillian Whyte, he's ducked Otto Wallin, again, that's just a hate thing. That's just a narrative thing that people just either A, they were predicting that Dillian Whyte will never get a world title shot, and now they're going to be proven wrong, so they're unhappy about it. Other people just don't like Dillian Whyte in general. Okay, they just don't. And to say that Dillian Whyte ducked Otto Wallin is absolute madness on my part. It's madness. I know for a fact he's injured. Okay, I spoke to him a couple of times. He's definitely injured. And do you really think that he would turn down an Otto Wallin fight when he's already defeated, say, a Joseph Parker, a Derek Chisora, an Oscar Rivas, a Robert Helenius? He's been in there with Anthony Joshua, Alexander Povetkin, of course. All of those guys defeat Otto Wallin. Otto Wallin would not have been the best name on Dillian Whyte's resume. And what, you think that he's afraid of Otto Wallin? Don't get me wrong, of course there's risk, it's heavyweight, of course there is. But there's no way that he was going to lose to Otto Wallin. And anybody who says that he was, I've seen quite a few of those people saying how they believe Otto Wallin was going to knock out Dillian Whyte. Listen, people weren't saying that beforehand. They weren't saying it. A lot of people who are now saying that Otto Wallin would have knocked him out are the same people who I've seen in the comment section before saying how Dillian Whyte is just cherry picking Otto Wallin because he knows that Otto Wallin had a lucky night at the office and that cut didn't help with Tyson Fury. So now he wants to fight, knock out Otto Wallin for bragging rights for Tyson Fury. Suddenly now they're changing their tune. Narratives, what can you do? But either way, Tyson Fury versus Dillian Whyte, absolute mega fight. I'm looking forward to it. And for me, it's outside of a Joshua Fury, outside of a Joshua Whyte Part 2, it's the biggest fight in the heavyweight division. There isn't a bigger one. People can say Fury versus Usyk. I mean, how big is that fight really? Usyk isn't a huge ticket seller. He's not a huge pay-per-view star. And I say that unfortunately. Okay, but that's the reality of it. It's not. And again, stylistically, Fury versus Usyk, how good would that fight be? I'm not too sure. I mean, it'd be great for the hardcores because those who appreciate boxing skill, you'll probably see that at a high level. But of course, when it comes to Dillian Whyte, win, lose or draw, you know that he will put everything on the line. He ain't just going to sit there and let Tyson Fury just do whatever he wants to do. He's going to put it on Fury. And has Tyson Fury, has he lost a step or two? Yeah, I think he has lost a step or two, which is why he's had to change up his whole style. I think he realised that when he fought Deontay Wilder the first time, that he can't move around as well as what he once did. For example, the Klitschko fight. And this is not a knock on him, by the way. But then when he fought Tom Schwartz, okay, totally different. When he fought Otto Wallin, again, he was trying to be the back foot fighter. He can't do it for a sustained amount of time anymore. He doesn't have that timing anymore. He's slowing down. He's 6'9". He's a huge unit. And he does punch a lot harder than people give him credit for. So what do? You change your style somewhat. And of course, he's chosen Sugar Hill to incorporate some of that Kronk style. But again, let's not forget, Dillian Whyte versus Tyson Fury, it is pretty much Kronk versus Kronk in some ways, isn't it? Obviously, you've got Sugar Hill, the nephew of the late, great Manny Stewart, of course, working in Tyson Fury's corner. And you've got Harold the Shadow Knight working with Dillian Whyte. Of course, he was part of Kronk and Lennox Lewis's team for pretty much most of his career. So it's going to have some extra elements to it. Anyway, for me, I'll be very, very excited about this fight. And at a bare minimum, you will no longer hear me saying things like, oh, Dillian Whyte, he's been number one for X amount of time, he's being screwed over, when's he going to get his world title shot, all that kind of thing. Because no matter what happens in that fight, I can't say that anymore. He's had his world title shot. And if Tyson Fury wins, cool. He's got a very, very good name on his resume. The second best name on his resume, in my opinion. Vladimir Klitschko being number one. Then Dillian Whyte, then Deontay Wilder. That's just my opinion. Maybe you agree, maybe you don't. But if Dillian Whyte pulls off that win, Dillian Whyte versus, hopefully, Anthony Joshua for undisputed. We're just one more fight away from an undisputed. Some people may not want this Dillian Whyte fight. Again, you're a minority. You're a minority. But guess what? You're going to watch it. You are going to watch it. And if Tyson Fury fights Dillian Whyte the same way that he fought Deontay Wilder, expect a war. Don't be surprised if both of these men hit the canvas in that fight. Don't be surprised. It could well go down as a classic. It could. Anyway, that's my thoughts. You drop me yours, click thumbs up, and of course subscribe, and I'll catch you on the next video.